What's going on, guys? Matty Ice here. Welcome back to another episode of Investing with Matty Ice, where I share my investing journey with you guys, specifically when it comes to income ETFs. Boy, oh boy, do I have a video for you guys. You better buckle your seatbelt, strap yourself in, because we are going to be talking about some incredibly powerful stuff, at least in my opinion, breaking down what I'm referring to as this perpetual Bitcoin-wrapped wealth building machine that can allow us to significantly accelerate the wealth building process by implementing a maybe not so well-known strategy. It's called asset stacking, right? We're going to get into that. And it all started when I took out a loan, a very specific type of loan, mind you, to purchase more shares of BTCI. That's right. I took out a freaking $50,000 loan at 5.5%, ridiculously low interest rate, to purchase an income-producing asset that yields 28%. Now, to me, that's a complete no-brainer, right? Although I agree that most people should avoid debt and leverage when used correctly and responsibly, it can be incredibly powerful. And I did an entire video on this, guys, breaking down the numbers, the strategy, the type of loan that I used, which significantly reduces my risk. I will link that in the description. Make sure you check that out or drop a comment down below and I'll send it to you. All right, but here was the original plan. My original plan was to split up the distributions, take half the distributions from that BTCI position to pay down the debt. Okay, so basically it's financing itself. And then take the other half of the distributions and reinvest those back into BTCI to get that compound effect. Then I decided, you know what? I'm just going to pay for the debt every month out of my business cash flow because it can more than handle it. And I'd rather reinvest 100% of the distributions and really get that compound effect going on BTCI. All right. So that was the kind of the second stage of the plan, I guess. But then I decided, you know what? I just realized that the dividends that I'm getting from my STRC position more than cover the debt service that I used, the debt that I used to buy BTCI. And that's when it clicked for me, guys. Like asset stacking, velocity of money. Mark Moss talks about this on his channel all the time, building wealth in multiple layers. Like I'm seeing it in action here. And it's just so insanely powerful when you can get to the point where you have assets paying for the debt service on other assets that are both accumulating really good cash flow. That is a really, really strong position to be in. And you have so much optionality there and it's one of the factors here, that we'll talk about, cash flow utilization. Like, how do we use that cash flow to further build more wealth, to acquire more income producing assets, to create more cash flow, and it just continues to build on itself like this perpetual wealth building machine. And it's just incredibly powerful. So that's what we're going to get into: controlled leverage, cash flow utilization. How do we stack multiple assets using the same capital or using the cash flow from these different assets, et cetera, right? So let's start with the loan. Now, again, I did an entire video on this already, but I'm just going to break down the basics here really quick. I took a $50,000 loan where, the plan is to just deploy it $10,000 increments, just kind of dollar cost average during any major corrections. Obviously, strategically deploying capital. I talk about that on this channel all the time. Strategically deploying capital, not putting all of your capital in at once, right? Because we don't know where the bottom is, right? So we want to be strategic with that. All right. Like I said, the loan rate, it's a variable rate, but it's currently at 5.5%. It can go up to 8%, but that's like the cap. Right now, it's at 5.5%. Obviously, that is insane. That is really, really good, which is why I love the foundational asset that I used to get this type of loan. It's called high cash value dividend paying whole life insurance. I talk about it in the other video. Not going to get into all the details here, but there are some massive benefits of doing it. One, very favorable interest rate. Two, full control of the repayment of the loan. There's no risk of forced liquidation, no margin calls. Nobody's calling me to post more collateral because these are very volatile assets. I don't have to post additional collateral, otherwise being forced to lose my position. There was no application, no credit check, no debt to income ratios, no nothing. I logged into my online portal, told the life insurance company how much I wanted. They sent me a check for it, and now I can deploy it into this income producing asset. That's just incredibly powerful, guys. Absolutely powerful. Now, not to mention, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but when we're using high cash value dividend paying whole life insurance, not the crap that Dave Ramsey tells you is horrible, right? That's not what I'm talking about. If you want to learn more about it, just drop a comment. I'll send you a video on it. Okay. But My cash value, my money in the policy is still compounding at roughly 4% tax-free for the life of the policy, guys, while I'm using the capital to purchase an income-producing asset that yields 28%. And it only cost me 5.5%. That's insane. And so what I decided to do, because I'm in full control of the repayment of that loan, I decided to amortize it out over 10 years. That puts my monthly payment at $542 per month. This is where the magic starts to happen. My STRC position, I currently hold $60,000 worth of STRC, or will very soon before the next dividend. I'm just waiting for funds to clear my brokerage account. Now, this is capital that I had in river.com, earning interest paid in Bitcoin. Figured why not stack some extra sats while I'm waiting to deploy this capital, because I have it earmarked for certain financial obligations in the future, a couple years down the road. Might as well put it to work. Well, I decided to move it into Stretch because it has a current dividend rate of 11.25% right now, guys. That's absolutely insane. And it's tax deferred, which means we have more of our cash flow available to us right now to implement something like this. What that translates to, guys, is $6,750 per year in distributions, dividends from STRC, or $562 per month. Now, I'm no math wizard, but the last time I checked, $562 a month is more than $542 a month. So Stretch is paying, the cash flow from my Stretch position is paying for the debt that I took on, which I'm in full control of, okay, in order to purchase another high yield cash flowing asset, BTCI. Now, remember, cash flow utilization. What can I use that cash flow for? Well, right now, I'm just going to be using it I'm just going to be fully reinvesting it into BTCI. But I could use that to acquire other assets. I know a lot of you guys like to diversify into different types of income ETFs and whatever. That's fine. I mean, this is not financial investment advice. I'm just sharing what I am doing right now. But you could do whatever you want with the cash flow that's coming in. My point here is just showing you the power of a cash flowing asset and then utilizing that cash flow to acquire more assets, asset stacking, velocity of money, building wealth in multiple layers. That's what we're doing. Mark Moss talks about this on his channel all the time. Highly recommend you subscribe to him. All right, but that is what we're doing here. This type of strategy, asset stacking, velocity of money. It's in action right here, because I have an asset paying for the accumulation of another asset, which then I can use the cash flow from that one to acquire more. Can you see how when we have cash flowing assets like this and we utilize that cash flow strategically, that we can massively accelerate the wealth building process in our lives, as opposed to trying to build wealth in one or two places at once, like locking it up in a 401k and mutual funds and stuff like that? No. How about we utilize the incredible infrastructure and financial products that are being built around Bitcoin? Now, that's just me. It's just my opinion. You do whatever you want. Now, here's what's happening, guys. Let me summarize the real power of this, okay? And well, we'll break it down. But compounding behind the scenes. All right, so first I have the foundation, my whole life policy. All right, set up for high cash value. They typically net 3.5% to 5% over the life of the policy, tax-free, etc. Okay, this current one that I borrowed against, 4%, which is not sexy, but I'm not looking for a high rate of return for a very safe asset. All right, that's the foundation. Okay, that's like a cherry on top. Okay, but that's going to grow. That's continuing to compound in my policy, because I use the life insurance company's money, for, that $50,000 to purchase BTCI. So the money in my policy is continuing to compound, not to mention the other benefits we get from life insurance, which is amazing. All right, so I have an asset there that's compounding behind the scenes. And then I have the $50,000 of BTCI once it's fully deployed, earning that 28% yield. Now the distribution amount will fluctuate a little bit, but the yield stays between like that 25 to 30%. All right. So, and I'm reinvesting all of those distributions. So that's compounding. And I can do that because Stretch is generating enough cash flow in order to pay for the debt service I used to get those BTCI shares, to get that income producing asset. Guys, are you starting to see how powerful this can be when done right, when done responsibly, when you know what you're doing? Okay. Most people shouldn't do this because there's a lot of moving parts, and this takes a lot of time, energy, and effort learning how these different things work. And most people are not going to do that. I know you guys are. You're different. But most people should stay away from this kind of stuff because of that. All right. And yeah, so I have an asset paying for the debt service for acquiring another asset, guys. And I have two assets that are compounding in the background and one of the assets that are financing one of the other assets. It's kind of a tongue twister when you have all these different pieces of the puzzle coming together, right? But why this is so powerful is because we're able to build wealth in multiple layers. We're stacking multiple assets at a time instead of selling different assets to get capital, right? We're normally taught to deploy capital in one thing at a time, right? So, for example, if I have $20,000, right, and I need to decide whether I want to put that into Stretch or to BTCI. Do I, maybe I diversify, maybe I break it up into two different, both of them, whatever, right? Well, what if you put it into an asset that will compound for the rest of your life and give you access to that capital at the same time without interrupting that compound growth so that you can acquire another asset that will compound? Well, now you're building wealth in two places at once. You think you'll reach your financial goals a lot faster if you build wealth in two places at once? I think so. It's kind of a rhetorical question, guys, right? And so that's what I do with, putting it into the whole life policy first. We can borrow against that, right, at very, very favorable interest rates, not to mention no margin calls, no forced liquidation, don't have to post collateral, no application. I mean, you have to get approved for the life insurance, right? But you see what I'm talking about? Like we're building wealth in multiple places at once here, right? So we have the Stretch dividends that exceed the loan payments because of that extremely high yield and the very low interest rate that we get. Like, try going to a bank or establishing a line of credit or whatever to purchase something like BTCI and get a 5.5% interest rate. Like, that's just not going to happen, right? So, like, people hate on whole life insurance all the time. Oh, it gets a terrible rate of return. Well, it's not a great rate of return, but that's not why we set it up. We set it up for building wealth building machines like this, where I can get access to very cheap, very flexible capital when there's an opportunity to be taken advantage of, right? And then we have our BTCI distributions that are being reinvested. So that's compounding, tax deferred. Policy cash value continues compounding, tax deferred. You can access it tax free, et cetera. Like, it's just so freaking powerful. And then that frees up the rest of my cash flow from my business. Like, it doesn't, because Stretch is paying the debt service, I now have an additional $542 a month that I could stack additional sats with. I could purchase more BTCI. I could purchase more Stretch if I want to, right? Because it doesn't affect my cash flow whatsoever, because my asset is paying for the debt. Is the debt a bad idea now, guys? Because I've had some people leave some comments like, oh, you shouldn't be taking on debt and introducing leverage, blah, blah, blah. How about now? How about what if I have an asset that's paying for it? Not me. I'm not paying for it. Stretch is. my Stretch position is, right? Makes a lot more sense now. So anyways, I was going to go through like a blueprint of how I like to put all this together. I don't want this video to be too long. I just wanted to give you guys basically an update on how I'm utilizing the loan with BTCI and how I'm paying for it, et cetera. If you guys want a video like going through a blueprint of how to actually put this together, like if you're starting from scratch and this is interesting to you and you think this could benefit you and you understand the different like the mechanics and different levers of it, like how it works, okay? Because like I said, this is not for everybody. Then drop a comment down below. I'll put that video together if you want. We'll go through a couple of different scenarios, but this video, I just want to give you guys an update to show you how freaking powerful this stuff is when you know what you're doing. And you got good, strong cash flow. You use debt and leverage responsibly, and you can start asset stacking and building wealth in multiple places at once. It's incredibly powerful. So, anyways, love to hear your feedback, guys. Drop some comments down below. Let me know what you think about this perpetual wealth building machine. I am fired up about it. I am so freaking excited and very, very optimistic about the future here because of Bitcoin. Love Bitcoin. All right. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got for you. Hope you guys are crushing it, and I will talk to you in the next one. Cheers, success. Matty S is out.